What's going on, everyone? Hope you're having a great day, and hope you're excited for this tutorial because I'm excited as well. And sorry if there's any noise in the background, that's just my air conditioning. I had to turn that on because my room is a friggin' sauna. And on a completely unrelated note, today we're going to be taking a look at how to set things on fire. And I'm talking about with effects, of course. Don't worry, I'm not an arsonist. Um, Anyhow, we're going to be taking a look at this really awesome fire effect in Photopea, like the one you see right here. You'll see we get some really nice detail kind of following the shape of my text here, and we even have some embers coming out, which is cool. And the cool thing about this is that it's all in Photopea, so no need for stock images or anything. You're not going to have to draw anything by hand. It's just some really interesting techniques and a really cool effect. And before you ask, no, we're not going to be using this flame filter right here because that thing is basically useless. Anyhow, let's jump right into the tutorial. Alright, so first I'm going to create a new project. 1920 by 1080 pixels is good. Make sure your background color is black. Alright, and I'll make the shape that I'm setting on fire. Now this can be anything. Can be text, which I'm going to do today. Can be like an actual shape you draw with the pen tool. You can even, mask out an area of your image. So just type fire right here. The important thing is that we just have a white shape on a black background. That's all I really care about here. Something cool I can do is with the character panel, can space it out a little bit. Anyway, now that I have my text, I can convert it to a smart object and we can get started on the effect. So first thing I'm going to do, this is just good practice when pretty much for any kind of project like this, is have a duplicate of what you're working on. Just hide it. And this is just a copy I can copy in the future. So later on in the tutorial, I'm going to be needing, to use the layer again and again, and it's good to just have an invisible copy on top that I can add back in whenever I want. Alright, so now with my visible layer that I'm actually using, I'll just apply a little bit of Gaussian blur. Let's say maybe 3 pixels. And then this next part is really easy. All I have to do is come to layer styles, choose drop shadow, and set the blend mode to lighten, set the color to white, get the opacity to 100, the distance to 0, size to 0. Then I'm going to hit this plus icon to duplicate the effect. I'm going to increase the distance by a little bit. Let's set the angle to -90 so it's going upwards. I'm going to increase the distance by maybe just 10 pixels. I'm going to increase the size by just 2 pixels. Then I'm going to open this color and drop the brightness by 5% to 95. Alright, hit OK. Duplicate that style again. Again, drop the brightness, up the distance 20, and increase the size by 2 pixels. And then we're just going to do that again and again 20 times. And because that's a little bit tedious, today's your lucky day because I already did all of that for you. There's link in the description to a layer style that you can download where I've made all of those duplicates. It's called FireEffectStarter.asl. All you have to do is come over to this panel right here, and then hit this little triangle, hit load.asl, select the file you want, Fire Effect Starter, and you'll see there we have a new folder with these effects that I've already made, so that you don't have to. So I'll just choose this longest one, Fire Effect Starter 3, and you'll see I get this kind of long shadow effect where there's, the text it just kind of looks like it's stretched upwards and kind of tapered off at the top. And you'll see that's about 20 drop shadows right there. If you ever want to thank me for spending all of that time doing it manually, just like the video and hit subscribe, because this kind of took a while to do. Of course you don't have to do that. You can do whatever you want, but I would appreciate it if you kind of showed your support. Anyhow, back to the important stuff. With what I said about making copies of layers to use again in the future, I can do with this one as well, because I'm gonna have to use this kind of base layer a lot of times throughout this tutorial. But first I'm just gonna make a black color fill to put behind it. Let's maybe group these and call it base effect, and convert that to a smart object. Hit Ctrl J to duplicate and hide the copy. Alright, now we're going to be using a plugin that I made called Fractal Noise. If you don't have it, just come to Window, Plugins, and look up Fractal Noise and install it. If you've watched some of my videos before, you might know that I use this a lot, and it's a really useful tool. So once you've installed it, it'll be in this panel right here. Just open it up, and we're gonna be making a kind of energy pattern that's gonna be serving as the base of our fire. What I can do is come to base frequency. I can just use the arrow keys to change the number, and if I increase the first number, say maybe 23, drop the second one, and kind of stretching the pattern out a little bit. I can change the type to energy, drop the octaves to around 3, kind of smooth it out. Just hit add to document. Now you see I've got my noise on a separate layer, and what I want to do is mask it to this base effect shape that I have right here. So to do that, I can just change the layer's blend mode to multiply. Now I'll hit Control I to invert the noise, and hit Control L to open up levels. And by just moving the mid-tone slider to the right, I can create some really nice contrast in there. Just hit OK. I'm realizing that this pattern is kind of not completely smooth. Not to worry, I can come back to base effect, double click it to open the smart object, and I'm just going to add a little more blur to my fire layer. Let's say 5 pixels. Right, Control S to save. So you can already start to see we're getting a bit of a flame effect from just having the noise like sort of shoot upwards out from the text. But we still have quite a lot to do. Obviously this isn't fire just yet. remember how I said earlier in the tutorial that it's useful to have copies of layers to use later on. Well, now is later on, so what I'm gonna do is take this base effect copy, duplicate it, show this layer, and I'm gonna keep working on my effect. So what I'm gonna do is make a displacement map that I can use to displace this whole thing. So first I'm just actually gonna take the noise layer and my original base effect layer and convert it to a smart object. And the filter I'm gonna be using is called Displace. And what it does is it'll take a layer, a source that's called our displacement map, and it will move all of the pixels either horizontally or vertically. And you might ask, how does this work? What does the source have to do with it? Basically, the source, which we're going to be calling the displacement map, is just an image telling us how far each pixel should be displaced. So basically 50% gray, that stuff's not going to get displaced at all. Stuff brighter than that is going to be displaced in the positive direction based on these numbers, and stuff darker than that is going to be displaced in the negative direction. That might not make a whole lot of sense right now, but once we make our displacement map, you will start to understand that a lot better. I'm going to take my base effect copy, and I'll hit Control L again to open levels. And this time I'll look at the bottom slider, and I'll move this white part until it says 128. So I'll just type in 128 here. And now if you look at our text, it is 50% gray. That means if I were to apply this right now, whatever is closest to the center of the text would not be displaced, and the part around it would be displaced. But since it's all black around it, it's just going to get displaced to the left, nothing special. But if I apply a noise layer to it, we're going to get something really cool where it's displaced in multiple directions. So I'll open Fractal Noise again, maybe just make just a normal noise pattern and drop the octaves down to 1, add to document, and I'll bump up the contrast a little bit because that's gonna kind of help the displacement map be more effective, because the brighter parts are brighter and the darker parts are darker. And now to bring back that gray stuff I have underneath, I'm just gonna set my noise layers blend mode to exclusion. And that's pretty neat, isn't it? We have our noise, and we also have just the gray part sticking out underneath. I'm gonna group these two layers, call it displacement map. I'll convert this to a smart object. Right now I can just hide this, and in our image that we had before, we can open displace, and for our source just choose displacement map.psd and just bump up the horizontal amount by a good bit, and you'll start to see some kind of wind. I'm making the flames more interesting. A really cool effect. Displacement map is very powerful, so you can use it for a lot of stuff. You see that our effect is really starting to come together. This is the point where we can actually bring some color into our fire. So first I'm just going to take some levels and maybe, up the highlights. Again, drop the midtones for some nice contrast. Then I'll add a gradient map. Here's where I get my actual color from. So open the gradient, and what gradient map does is it maps colors to the bright and dark parts of the image. So right now, all the brightest pixels are closer to white, all the darkest pixels are closer to black. What I can do is change it so that my bright pixels are mapped to this kind of golden yellow right here. My dark pixels are mapped to a very deep red orange. Just like that. Just hit OK. And what I want to do is use this not to change the brightness of the pixels, but just the color. So I'll just change my gradient map layer's blend mode to color. Very cool. So you'll see we kind of have almost the full fire effect here with our new orange color. Now you can change this anytime you want. I think I'll make the highlights a little more yellow, just like that. Alright, now as you saw in the title, we are going to be adding some embers as well. So again, take our duplicate base effect, copy it. If you hold Alt and drag, it automatically makes a new copy. Put it below the colorization adjustment layers. Show it. I'm going to turn off the gradient map and levels for now to see what I'm doing. Now I'm just going to be making like a small amount of noise just to put in here. So open Fractal Noise again. Up this amount by a lot. Just going to be making a very small pattern. Something like this. I think I'll drop the octaves down to 2. Add to document. And again, I'm going to be hitting Control L. And now I'm going to just take the black slider, move it far to the right, and take the white slider, bring it, kind of clamp them close together, and you see we kind of have a sort of ember-like pattern. I set the blend mode to multiply so that it's isolated to the white areas of my base effect. Maybe I think these embers are too big, or I want more of them. So I can come to repeat and lower the scale by just a little bit. And that way I automatically get smaller embers and more embers. Now I'm just going to group my base effect and my noise. Let's call it Embers. And I'll set this layer's blend mode to screen. And you'll see it's very isolated to the area where the fire is, which is good, but maybe I want it to spread outwards a little more. So I can take the base effect in the Embers group and just add Gaussian blur to it. That'll kind of expand the area where the embers are. Alright, I think that's good, so I'm gonna turn my levels and gradient map back on, and you see we have a pretty nice fire effect. One last thing is we're gonna composite this onto our original shape, because I said we're gonna be setting that shape on fire. We're not gonna, just have random fire floating in the middle of nothing. So what I can do is turn on that original copy of the shape I made and set its blend mode to screen. And I can change the color of this. Or actually, I don't even have to, why don't we do something fun for a change? What I'll do is come to layer styles, and I'm gonna kind of make a custom bevel here. come to bevel and emboss, technique to chisel soft, and then increase the size all the way. Then I'm gonna come over to color overlay and then set it to a sort of gray color. And you see we get a sort of metallic looking effect. Very nice. Maybe let's do some inner glow as well. With an orange color. Right. I'm gonna make a group of this layer, put the layer into the group, and set the group's layer to screen. Now the reason why I did this instead of just changing this layer to screen is because the layer styles don't actually obey the blend mode. They're kind of added on their own. If you see, like, they'll have their own blend modes. So that's why I put it in a group. You could also convert it to a smart object if you wanted. But yeah, once we have that on screen, we have it blended in with the fire. Alright, so to maybe top this effect off, I can just add a little bit of glow. I'll just add a new layer at the top, and I'll use another plugin of mine called Super Bloom. I just released a new update a couple weeks ago, so you have a lot of nice new features in here. Let's just open up the plugin and drop the threshold. Our presets now. So let's just choose soft haze. It's already looking pretty good. Let me drop the radius by just a little bit. That's looking pretty good, so can add to document. That's basically it. We have our metallic text. We have the flames and embers kind of coming up from it. Look at how cool it is. It's like just following the text. It's as if we're actually setting stuff on fire. But yeah, that's it for this tutorial. Hope you learned something. Hope you had fun, because I had a lot of fun doing this. Thank you for watching, and thanks for sticking with me after all this time. I know I haven't uploaded in quite a while. I've been really busy, but it's mostly over now, so I'll try to find some time to make some more tutorials this summer. Because it's a lot of fun for me, so I really hope you had fun too. Hope you learned something. Hope you got some out of these techniques, especially fractal noise and displacement maps. If you did, if you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.